Hello everyone and welcome back. Today I want to show you something interesting I have been working on. So I do have a side project that I'm working on and I'm using a TypeScript front end with Next.js along with a Pydantic Python backend with Fast API. And in doing so, I'm trying to use typing on both the front and the back. And it can be a bit of a pain to try and create typing on the back end and then make sure it lines up with the front end. So I decided, why not try to create a script that will automatically convert the Pydantic types into TypeScript types? And so that is what I have done. I know there are already libraries and tools out there that do this kind of stuff for you automatically, but I thought it would be cool to try and do this. The repo will be linked in the description at the bottom in case you want to check it out or get it for yourself. So this script will take a file of Pydantic models and convert them into TypeScript interfaces. Since creating this has saved me a bunch of time from going back and forth between the front end and the back end to make sure the types are all synced together. So if we go ahead and remove the types from the request and response.ts files, see that they are empty. We'll go back to the main file, go ahead and run this, and we can see that it was written to the files. Open these again, and the types are now here. If I then wanted to add a new type, so let's say for this post request, we just have user ID, title, and content. On this post request here, let's say we want to add date as a date time. And we'll go ahead and import it up here at the top. So then if we go ahead and run that main file again, then go to the request.ts file, we now have the date as a string right here. And also in doing this, since I have both of these files, I have an init.py file here, where I just import everything from there. So I can just import everything from the schemas folder instead of having to go to schemas.request or schemas.response. You might also notice that these are in camel case, but in my request file or my response.py files, they are in snake case. And that is because this model config in the base schema. This model config will take an incoming request as camel case and convert it to snake case. And then in the response file, I have it doing the exact opposite of going from snake case to camel case. Having camel case in the front end and snake case in the back end is just a practice that I have learned, and it's what I keep doing. And I do have a test.py file just to verify that it does actually work. I'll go ahead and remove this date here that we added just for the test to work, since I don't have the date up here in the request. Go ahead and run this. And we can see it didn't throw any errors, since it did validate both the request and the response for this specific post data correctly. And we can see since we did come in with this user ID as in camel case, when we do this model validate, it returns a post request object. So we can do valid.user ID as snake case. And the user ID as camel case does not show up on the type hinting at all, as we cannot access that. So let's take a look at how this script actually works. So first up, we have a map up here of Python to TypeScript types. I have the basic like int, float, string, booleans, all converting to TypeScript types. There are some custom types that I've used like decimal, and I want to convert that into a string, or some other things like email string for emails that convert just straight into strings in TypeScript. And then I do have a custom type of datetime optional. In my project, I have a lot of datetime annotations that can be optionally null, and I don't want to type that out each time. So in the response.py file at the very top, I have a datetime optional, which is just an annotated optional datetime as a Pydantic field with a default of none. And you can see that is used down here in the delete date as a datetime optional. And whenever we go to the response.ts file, you can see deleted date is a string or null as what we have back in the main file or datetime optional here. So you can add or remove anything in here that you don't need. If you have another custom type that you want to add here, you just put it in here, put the mapping, and it will automatically convert it for you. So we will head down to the bottom where if name equals main, and we'll see how this is set up. So I have all of my API schemas in an API/schemas folder. There'll be a request file for incoming data into my API, and then a response class for data going out of my API back to my front end. And the same thing for TypeScript. I have a request TypeScript that sends data to the API, and a response.ts that's for when data comes back from the API. So we loop through each of these tuples here. Go ahead and get the in and out files. We'll read everything from the in file, and then go ahead and extract all the models from this file. This is currently just set up to have all the Pydantic models in one file and all of the TypeScript types in one file. I have not set this up to look at a bunch of different files and then determine it from there. I'd rather just have everything in one file since I'm not touching these things very often. If I need a new data value to be typed inside of my response.ts from the API, then I can just go into my response.py file, add that new field, rerun the script, and it will generate it in the response.ts for me. Let's take a look at this extract models because this is where the meat of the operations happen. So here I am using the AST module, and this is being used to get the type definitions for each of the types in the Pydantic model. So it's used to get all of these type hints here. So this will go ahead and parse out the source code, the data from the file that we had read in from the request.py or the response.py files. Then we have a TS output variable storing all the output that we will be generating from our Pydantic models. Next, we'll go ahead and loop over each of the items inside the class file. And if there is a class definition, so something like this, a class of user base schema, then we'll go ahead and get all the bases, everything that inherits from this class. And we're going to say if base schema is not in the bases, we're going to go ahead and skip over this attribute. We do this because we do not want to generate schemas for something like this. We don't need to generate a TypeScript type for this, so I just have it skipping over it. Then we'll go and extract that model name, so the user response, the user request, whichever one it is. Create a fields list, then we'll loop over each of the field inside of that Pydantic model and convert it into a TypeScript type. Once we have all of the fields, we'll go ahead and generate the output needed for TypeScript for that specific Pydantic model. And then whenever we're done, we return the whole thing for it to be saved later on. Now we'll take a look at how it's actually converting it. So since I am having camel case as my front end, I have this toCamel function that is being imported from Pydantic alias generators. If you didn't want to do this, you could just remove the toCamel case here to keep it as snake case. But this is the way I like to do it. So then we'll go ahead and parse the annotation. And this is where it will convert the Python type to the TypeScript type. So we take a look at this, and this is a pretty big function. So first we're checking if there is a subscript on the specific annotation. So something like dict with the open and close brackets, tuples, sets, lists, anything like that. Then we get the root, which is going to be something like the actual variable right here. And the arg is whatever's inside of the brackets. So we're going through each one. So optional, list, literal, union, dict, and then some others down here. So for each of these, we are handling them a bit differently, and you can see them here. I won't go into too much detail of them, but it just recursively calls parse annotation depending on which one it is. We can scroll down a little bit more. Next, we're checking if it is possible a bin op or a bit or, which is just the binary or operator. Here they can be used in types to say or. Then here is where it's converting anything from our mapping up that we had at the top into the specific type. Then we check if it's an attribute. So if it's like something like datetime.datetime, if it's an attribute of a specific item, so of a class or a module. Then last, we're checking if there is a constant, so anything like a literal of something like apple, banana, anything like that, or just strings. But if it doesn't fit any of these requirements, then we return any as any type. Now, there are some limitations to this, like I have not implemented enums, or some other types might not be in here as well. But this has worked for me as what I need for it. So I thought this was pretty cool, and I wanted to share with you guys. So thank you so much for watching. Leave a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.